Well, tonight we're holding the powerful accountable as a father demands to know why his son, a student pilot, died in a plane crash.
Michael Hughes was killed in October near the Pickens County Airport. And this is what we knew. A preliminary NTSB report says his plane didn't have enough fuel. Now, Hughes' father is suing the flight school for negligence.
I chose not to see that.
Michael Hughes never visited the crash site, never wanted to be faced with what his heart already knew. His son was gone.
Having been a paramedic, I've seen one too many in my life, and I couldn't see that one.
But Hughes believes his son would still be alive if the company hired to teach him to fly had simply checked the plane's fuel level.
A crosswind, a bird strike, some kind of a mechanical failure, but you don't expect something as simple and basic as fuel.
According to the preliminary NTSB report, Asterix Aviation last fueled the Piper Tomahawk 3 days before the crash. It had already been out on 4 flights since. Hughes' lawsuit claims despite ads touting Asterix would make flying safe and fun for everyone, instructors sent Hughes' plane out in a dangerous, unsafe, and unairworthy condition with virtually empty fuel tanks.
Hey guys, Mike here. Now, based on the video you just saw, I promise you I'm not making this to scare you or scare anyone. The whole point of this video is to educate ourselves on the importance of using a checklist during your pre-flight. Now, when you start to fly, when you begin your training, or after you become a pilot, these are things that you're gonna have to do anyway. So it's better to build good habits early on. See what I'm holding right here? This is called a checklist. All right, as a pilot, this is like a Bible for whatever plane that you're flying. And on your checklist, you use your checklist on different phases of your flight, starting with pre-flight, which is what this video is about. Simple things that you can see while you're on the ground that you're not gonna be able to check when you're in flight. More importantly, your fuel. So before you fly, part of your pre-flight checklist is to check the amount of fuel in the gas tank. All right, so when you go through, you do like a 360 around your airplane, you check all the nicks and knacks, and you check your fuel tank and see, okay, actually there are 3 different ways you can probably check for your fuel. One, you turn your master ignition on and your electronics come on, and you're able to see, okay, how much fuel do I have in here? And sometimes, guess what? Electronics can go bad, right? So sometimes what you're reading on the screen may not be the actual amount of fuel in the gas tank. But that's one way to check it. You can check your fuel gauge, see how much fuel you have in the tank. You do what's called a fuel strain, which is you check the quality of the fuel, make sure it's the right fuel in there. And the third way you check for your fuel is simply just opening the gas tank, look inside and see, do I have fuel in this airplane? Hell, another thing I actually do, I sort of just shake that wing a little bit. For example, if you look, and sometimes the fuel travels down this way or that way, and what I do is I just shimmy that wing a little bit just to hear the sound of the liquid in there moving. So with that, I'm pretty sure there's fuel in there. But guess what? There are a lot of pilots who just skip through this whole thing because they feel like, okay, it's repetitive. Of course it's repetitive. It's something you repeat every time you fly. So some people think that, well, I already know this checklist at the top of my head. Even I've made this mistake once upon a time. But when you start training, I'm sure your instructor should tell you that it's important to use your checklist every single time. Don't try to do it by head, because if you do, you're going to forget things. All right, so check to make sure that fuel is there, because if you take off with less fuel in your tank, you can get in serious trouble. Should in case in flight you're flying and something happens, your engine stops working, this is the procedure you use. It's called, the simplest way to put it is ABC. And ABC stands for you check your airspeed, you check the best place to land, and then you do your cockpit flow. So airspeed is basically you either increase or decrease the power to your best gliding ratio, meaning the best airspeed that can keep you afloat in the air the longest. That's what your gliding ratio is. And then best place to land, once you get your airspeed to the right airspeed, you start looking outside your window, try to find the best place that you can land that airplane safely. Hopefully you make it out. And then the last thing, once you find the best place, direct that airplane towards the best place, and then you do your cockpit flow. Basically check all the things on this checklist. You have that. You have it here where it says engine failure. So where it says engine failure, it goes through this list, and you kind of just try to go through each one, every single one. Check your mags, check your fuel switch. Make sure maybe sometimes your engine could have went off because there's less fuel in one tank than the other, so you could just switch tank and boom, your engine comes back on. So, but the point is, instead of getting yourself in these situations in the first place, take your time with pre-flight. Do not rush through it, okay? To be a safe pilot, pre-flight, to me, pre-flight is probably the most important part of your flight. It's better to be on the ground and wish you were up there than to be up there and wish you were on the ground. So please take your time with your pre-flight. Make sure you check everything, and most importantly, make sure you check that there's enough fuel in that tank for your flight. Okay, so that's the point I want to make today, guys. Again, hope everyone is having a good day, and I hope that if you're flying out there, please be safe, build good habits, and fly safe, guys. Again, my name is Mike, and thank you so much for watching this video. Give a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video, and leave your comments below. I like to know your experiences, okay? So I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.